All right, I appreciate you waiting this long to get this presentation, so I'm going to make this as painless as possible. And this will likely be probably the fastest presentation since we apparently have 11 minutes and 35 seconds to get it done in. So here we go. Just to tell you a little bit, we always talk about qualifying the speaker. And I like to talk about one thing that we are at Ultra Health is we're very passionate. I am a former president of a New York Stock Exchange company, a former cabinet secretary. I founded a little company, a hearing company. I always speak real slow and say hearing company. So you say, what did he say? A hearing company. We sold it to a little German company called Siemens. So we've had a little bit of success. I've done partnerships and joint ventures with Cigna Corporation, HCA. It doesn't matter, but it basically tells you he's done a lot of healthcare. We're very passionate. We're a young company. I'm proud to tell you we've never lost money, okay? We've never lost money. We're profitable from day one. We're the largest provider in our market share. We own 15% of our market where we serve today. 15%. You say, well, is that really big? In anywhere market, California, Arizona, Colorado, New York, you name it, no provider in Washington or Oregon owns 1% to 1.5%. So what we've done is slightly different. We're very young, very oriented. I am the oldest person, and they try to push me out constantly, but I hang on very tightly, stick around. Our COO back here, Kylie, we're talking, she's a CEO, young professional, grew up with it, was a bud tender with us, grew through the system, and now runs the company. Our chief marketing officer here, Marissa, young people who came forward. They know this business. They're the future of this business. And the good news is it's going to get better. It's going to get purer in its commitment of why it's here. We're not just here to make lots of money. We're here to change the world. I told you I ran hospital, clinics, HMO. And if you ask me, of all the things I've ever done, which is the most meaningful? This is. What we do here is we change lives completely. Not just organizationally, but we're changing lives of how we've harmed people. I've had family members locked up. And for them, I'm non-traditional. I've really gone on to a non-traditional path. My family has a long history of drug dealing. I'm the one that allegedly was doing it right. Reality was they were doing it right all along. We just didn't bring it back into the mainstream. Does that make sense? Very agreed. Just raise your hand. There we go. Okay, let's wake up. Ultra Health has been very successful at trying to garner attention. And when I say attention, we've changed things. Imagine this. We took a single plant, a little cannabis plant, and we took it to the state fairgrounds. Yes, we did. To the state fairgrounds. It's an agricultural activity, right? It's a state fair. Why wouldn't they want to see this agricultural plant alongside these watermelon plants and these super-sized pumpkins, right? Well, apparently the state police did not like it. But they did confiscate the plant, or they basically threatened us. They tried to take our license away. It went to a federal court under the guise of, guess what? Freedom of speech. And guess what the court ruled? You have the right. You have the right to display the image. You have the right to display and talk and have brochures. The fairgrounds actually had documents that said you could not in any way communicate drugs. And they deemed it to be a drug. Even though in our state, there are 80,000 cardholders already signed up. And that's a small state. And the reason I bring that up, I've heard over and over, TIA, this is Africa. I agree, this is Africa, but we also have a lot of similarities. I come from a very rural state with 2/3 of the population living outside the urban areas. So we're very similar. I come from a very poor state, and yet we're able to garner a very large market share and grow where the economics aren't as strong. It can happen in New Mexico, it can happen in Arizona, it can happen in any African country, and you can do it. I tend to be very biased, and I'm telling you that a vertically integrated model is a better path. When I talk about a vertically integrated model, I do talk about capital costs. We've invested a lot. We built greenhouses, we built structures, we built up offices, we built up warehouses in large numbers. At one time in the state of Arizona, we blew through $25 million of capital. The good news is, we have no debt. We're 100% cash positive. We own no shareholders. Every shareholder of Ultra Health is sitting right here and standing in this room right now. We're not complicated. We're real simple. We have a vision of what we want it to be, and we just kept pushing it. Isn't that what everyone in this room finally wants? The fact that you stayed this long today, doesn't that confirm that that's what you want? I need to hear a sound, please. That's what I want. Everyone who waited to hear this should be pleased that you did it. Construction. Construction. And I tell you, I sometimes believe I run a construction company, but we're not afraid of it though. Not only are you able to reach out, we went to a previous CannaTech event in Tel Aviv. And I'm telling you, that gave birth to what we've done today. We've now already entered into a joint venture with a company called Panaxia. Has anybody ever heard of Panaxia? Yes, there you go. Panaxia received the first Ministry of Health cannabis production license. Guess who in the U.S. is their 50-50 joint venture partner in putting in production facility? The first one in the U.S.? We are. And right now, we're continuing to do more construction, as you can see, but we're also negotiating with a kibbutz. Everybody know what a kibbutz is? Yes. A kibbutz is the equivalent of the old commune way of growing, of bringing community of resources, people together, and facilities and lands, and creating one grow. They approached us and said, would you partner with us? We said, yes. We like it. Their land, their promise, their vision, their effort, our intellectual property, our capital, our cooperation, and guess what you build? You build a new industry, just like you're doing here in South Africa and like you'll do in every African country. If you understand, there are some simple rules. Don't make it overly complicated, okay? It's not. I'm not that bright. These young people are much brighter, and you need to pin your hopes on people who see the future and let them do what they do best. Does that make sense? All right. Now, growing. I've heard for 2 days that growing is easy. It's not. Okay? The plant will grow anywhere. That's the truth. I won't argue. The plant will grow anywhere, and it's a beautiful plant. And when it grows along ditch banks and it grows along streets, I got 5 minutes. Everybody with me still? 5 minutes. All right, 5 minutes. The plant will grow well, but you've got to stay ahead of the market. You realize the market's changing. It's okay. You may think to grow THC plants with potency of 15 to 16%. I'm going to tell you the future. It's not okay. Stick with those varieties that have high yields and high THCs initially. Sure, go for the whole cannabinoid profile, but be realistic. You still have to mission was, you got to make some money. And you got to make money not just to be rich, but to enrich the lives of people you affect. We agree? All right. We're running fast. Pretty pictures of plants. We're going to shorten it. I could do this over 2 hours. You'd actually enjoy it. We've done a partnership with Panaxia. As I said, that's just the beginning. And no one thought it could happen. Panaxia attempted a partnership like this in Canada. They talked to several companies. They attempted in other states. And yet there's been not one successful thing. What did we do different? We always push the boundaries. We always push the boundaries of what it takes to get done. All right. I'm going to introduce you in the next 3 minutes and 50 seconds. I'm going to introduce you to the 2 biggest competitors you're going to face in this industry. Does everybody know who the two biggest competitors are? And I'm not going to wait for an answer because I only have 3 minutes and 42 seconds. Their number 1 competitor, and do not call it the black market. It's the illicit, unregulated market. We all agree? It's the illicit, unregulated market. Yes, they can be your friend if you work with them, but in time, it's not a fair and honest relationship with each other because you are going to try to phase them out. Does that make sense? That's the reality. Don't lie to people. It really works best if you're just honest up front. Your number 1 competitor is the illicit market. Your number 2 competitor, I'm going to tell you honestly, is the regulators themselves. All right? You will end up fighting with them. You'll end up suing them. You'll sue them for more locations. You'll sue them for more plants. You will start to get real deep into topics that you never thought you would. But you'll realize lawyers will become your best friends. Partnership with Panaxia, Pretty Plants. I'd like to show you this. This is one of our clinics. We own 20 dispensaries. 20 dispensaries in a small state like New Mexico. That is huge penetration. That is like having 200 locations in California. Why do we do it? Because we're anticipating the future. Built from ground up, not a rehab, ground up facility, 13,000 square feet, $2 million investment in a town of 3,000 people. Who builds a dispensary in 3,000 people? Not anybody with any smarts, unless you happen to see a highway cut through it to Colorado, and in the neighboring town in Colorado did 53 million in sales. You've got to see where the opportunities are. Just because you have a small population center does not mean that you have a great you do not have the same opportunity. You do. If we can do what we do in the smallest market, can you imagine what you could do in real sizable markets? Vertical integration. I'm real biased about it because that means you bring together all the three things that bring it successfully together. Some of the biggest vertical integrators I told you in healthcare, because I'm from healthcare, Mayo. Anybody heard of the Mayo Clinic? All right, they're doing $18 billion a year, being vertically integrated, owning the financing system, the delivery system, the whole entire model. You need to realize you need to be vertically integrated, and what you can't produce, you bring a partner with you who can bring measured dose, who can produce the high intelligent type pills and tablets. That's Panaxia, but you've got to have the entire stream. Everybody agree with that? Kaiser, one of the biggest healthcare operators in the U.S., $80 billion a year in sales, and vertically integrated. Clock's running. Interesting here. Anybody heard of Walgreens or CVS Pharmacy? These are the locations for Walgreens. 80% of the U.S. population is within 7 miles of a Walgreens. 80%. You don't have to be everywhere. You just need to be accessible on those key pathways. So what's the question? Vertical integration. Vertical integration in healthcare talks about the physicians, the hospital, and financing. Now I'm going to get you to what is vertical integration in cannabis. Write this down. What is vertical integration in cannabis? Here's the secret. Production, which is cultivation and manufacturing. You need to be in there. That's one leg of this three-legged stool. The second thing is distribution. What does distribution mean? That's wholesale delivery. That's retail operations. I'm going to give you a heads up for spending the day with me. The heads up is mail order. It's coming. Automation. Home delivery. And the third piece is financing. This is a big one no one has spoken about, and you will say this was worth the price of admission alone. You're going to be involved in financing it, whether it's prepaid, co-pays, Medigap, public health insurance. We're about ready to sue the state of New Mexico saying Medicaid must cover it. Why? Because it's medicine. Here's a great article we just covered a few days ago, front page of the Albuquerque Journal. Medical users struggle with costs. We're making people aware of it. What's the key point? The turning point is where we're getting at. Time's up. I need to give you one summary comment. This is a picture, I'll take the camera out, take a photograph of it. This is what you remember. This will be the next time, if you do this a year from now, you'll remember. This is what he said it was going to happen, and he's right. This will be the pyramid of what a vertically integrated cannabis company looks like. At the lowest level, which is the most important, everything stems from growing. We need to cultivate. High yields, high returns. The difference between a 5-ounce plant and an 8-ounce plant is 60% difference in yield. Everybody got that? So it's huge. Don't get fooled. Oh, we do 5 ounces. I don't care what you do. If you're up to 8 ounces, you're 60% better. Manufacturing, that means all the things I was talking about. Extraction, removal of products, produce final products. Retail, which means retail distribution, home delivery, the whole thing. And you will participate. And you need to look long-term to how you finance this entire model. Thank you very much.